So here I am in Adobe Bridge, and I took this photograph of a tawny eagle on a very grey, drizzly day. So it's not a great photograph, but I want to edit it in Camera Raw in such a way that it's acceptable to share with other bird enthusiasts on social media. So here in Camera Raw, the first thing we're going to do is to crop the image. And the reason for that is we don't want to have to work on a whole lot of unnecessary pixels. We also want to get our composition right, and it'll also give us a more accurate histogram. So I'm going to use a 4:5 crop because I want to post this on Instagram. So that's more or less what I want my photo to look like. If I needed to straighten it, I could use this little button over here to straighten it, but I don't think I need to do that in this instance. It is very important that if you are going to use denoise, you do it right now, because it will affect everything that you do. So I'm going to use AI generated denoise, and let's see what that actually does. Let's go right in and then let's denoise and see what happens. See what happens to this noise. And this is all done by AI. Takes a little while. It depends how many pixels it's got to work through, and boom, all the noise is gone. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove anything that I need removed, and I need to remove this over here, and again I'm going to use AI, and I'm just going to paint in this whole area that I want removed. Make sure that it's all included, and click remove. In a few seconds, gone. Perfect job. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for any little spots from my sensor. So I click the healing icon, and let's visualize the spots. There's not many. Sometimes there's spots all over the place, but here is one. So let's get rid of that. I'll just click over there with the healer, and that's gone. Here in the light panel, I'm going to turn the exposure up a little bit, and I'm going to therefore turn the highlights down a little bit just to get some detail back. The reason I want to turn exposure up is I want this face more exposed. I know it's blowing out the background, but we'll deal with that later. Then I can set highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. If you hold down the Alt key and you move the blacks, for example, you can see when you're starting to lose detail, when that starts to appear on the screen, so you mustn't go below that. Same with the whites. When you go up, you're going to see when you're going to blow that out. So you must use that as a guide. Here in the color panel, I'm going to turn the temperature up just a little bit to warm the photograph because it was a very bleak day. I'm going to leave the tint and vibrance, and you shouldn't move the saturation much. The next panel is the effects panel, and I'm not going to change any of these. When I do the selective edits, I might change those. Curves is just a tweak that I'm not going to use right now. In the color mixer, if for example you've got a green or a blue bird, you can turn up the greens and turn up the blues. With a cardinal woodpecker, you might turn up the reds, but here I'm going to do nothing. Color grading, I'm not going to go into. And then under detail, I'm going to sharpen to about 75 or 80. And optics, lens blur, and calibration, I'm not going to go into now. Right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the bird selectively. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the program to select the subject. It doesn't do a great job over here. It selects this whole branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the mask, and I'm going to intersect mask with, and I'm going to use brush. Okay, now I've got a brush, and only where I paint will get affected by what we're going to do. So I'm going to just stick to the face and the eye, and I'm going to turn that exposure up a little bit just to bring out the eye a little bit more, and I'll turn down the highlights. Okay, then I'm going to create a new mask, and this time I'm going to just create it with a brush, and I'm going to make my cursor a little bit bigger, and I'm going to paint the tail. I'll make the cursor a little bit smaller, and I will paint under the wings just to bring some detail back where it's underexposed. Okay, and then I'm going to turn that exposure up a little bit, and quite a lot, until I see some detail of the feathers. Right, then I'm going to create another mask, and this time I'm going to ask it to select the background. Okay, now the background is selected. I'm going to turn down the exposure, and I'm going to turn shadows, whites, blacks. I could fiddle with dehaze, clarity, and so on, but it doesn't seem to be necessary here. I see over here this is a little bit underexposed here, so why not create another mask? So let's create a new mask, and again I'm going to use the brush, and now I'm going to brush over those underexposed areas. I'm going to just do it quickly, but you can spend some time doing it. And let's just turn that exposure up until that blue disappears. Okay, it won't disappear completely, but that's good enough for now. So that was just a quick demonstration on how you can take a throwaway photograph and turn it into something reasonable. Obviously, the better the initial photograph, the better result you can achieve. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on Camera Raw, and I'll see you in the next one.